Hey everyone, welcome back to another bookish video. My name is Anna and I will be reviewing Sky in the Deep by Adrienne Young. Sky in the Deep is Adrienne Young's debut album. It came out in April of 2018. I personally received this book through Owlcrate's, I think it was the May box. It was themed Fight Like a Girl, which the book suit the theme perfectly. If you are not subscribed to Owlcrate, if you've never had an Owlcrate box before, you are missing out. It's amazing. It always comes with one book and then like 5 to 10 different YA themed little trinkets. It's just amazing. So shout out to Owlcrate, because this is not a book that I would have picked up if it had not just been sent to me in an Owlcrate subscription. It is about Vikings, and I just don't think that I would have ever been interested in learning about Vikings or in Viking culture. But Adrienne Young did an excellent job in making this a book that captivated someone who knew nothing about Viking culture. Sky in the Deep follows the story of Eileen, who is 17 years old. Eileen is part of the Oska clan, who are a community obsessed with war and battle. Every 5 years, they fight their rivaling clan, who are the Riki. From a very young age, Eileen is raised to be a warrior, to be a fighter. Her entire community raises both the men and the women, or boys and the girls, to become warriors, to become fighters. Now, this beef that the Oska and the Riki have goes back centuries. Apparently, it started as a war between the gods. The god that the Oska believe in and the god that the Riki believed in had some sort of beef. 5 years before this book takes place, Eileen's older brother is killed during one of these battles of the Oska versus the Riki. At the time, Eileen would have been about 12 years old, and it was her first war, or her first fight, and she watches her brother get killed by one of the Riki men. 5 years later, which is where the book picks up, we are thrown right into the war between them. Eileen is overpowered by a clansman of the Riki. Right before she is about to get killed, the man is stopped by none other than her brother, who should be dead. And of course, this comes as a shock to Eileen. She thought her brother was dead all these years, so she is shook, to say the least. We follow Eileen's story as she comes to terms with the fact that her brother has actually been alive for the last 5 years. And not only has he been alive, but he's been living with the enemy clansmen. And so that's primarily what the book is supposed to be about. And I say supposed to because it takes kind of a turn as she kind of learns the reason why her brother stayed with the Riki, which is actually a terrible reason. We'll get into that in the spoiler section. I thought this was an excellent book. Adrienne Young, this being her debut novel, is amazing that she came out so strong. Her writing is really, really good. It is set primarily in the winter, and you totally get that vibe of wintry Vikingness. There are great battle scenes. I mean, like sword, axe, and shield action. It's amazing. I did give it a 5 out of 5. I think that if you're into Vikings, you're gonna like it. If you're into strong female leads, you're gonna like it, because Eileen is strong, intelligent, she's fierce, she's a really good fighter. Great action, good pacing. There was never a moment that I felt bored. I would totally recommend it, and I would reread it. It's a very short book, 335 pages, so it is a pretty short story. I believe it's a standalone. I feel like I've heard rumors of a second book or maybe a companion novel. I wouldn't be surprised if this book is turned into a movie, and I would recommend you read it before it becomes a movie. So that is it for the spoiler-free section. After this, I'm going to get into some spoilery stuff. So if you haven't read the book and you don't want to be spoiled, just get it out. This was not a deal breaker for me, but one of the things I disliked about the book was the fact that the book turned into a romance book novel. It became less and less and less about her brother, and it became about her relationship with Fisk, who was a Riki Klansman. It became more about her learning to trust the Riki. And I mean, I can see how that would play a part in maybe forgiving her brother and maybe coming to terms with why he stayed, which is, oh my God. Can we talk about why he stayed? Adrienne did a great job. She is a great writer, but ooh, girl, you could have thought of a different freaking reason why to stay with the enemy. Started liking someone, but it's like, you could like someone and still go say hello to your family. Like, hey guys, I'm alive. I don't know. The whole thing was like really weird to me. I don't know. I didn't think it was a good reason. So it became less about dealing with her brother and more about her and Fisk. Mind you, Fisk is the one that almost killed Eileen in the first place and almost killed her brother, whose name I really don't even remember. I think it was like Erie or something. For me to like barely remember his name, it's like, you know that somewhere along the way, Adrienne forgot what the story was about. Another thing, and the reason why I'm saying the things that I don't like is because there's more things that I do like. But another thing I didn't like was the ending. So I felt that the ending was very abrupt, and it was like this like almost fairy tale-ish, like, and they lived happily ever after versus, I don't know, the rest of the book, the way that it was paced. It was paced so well, and then it got to the end and it was like, and it's over. And she could have totally thought of a better, more well-paced, believable ending. Maybe Adrienne just ran out of time and she had to meet her deadline. I don't know. But let's talk about Eileen. I loved her. I thought that she was just a really strong character. She was intelligent. She was physically strong, mentally strong. I mean, she went through the freaking ringer. She was almost killed. They put like this like iron and it was hot iron like around her neck, and she was almost like a slave. Ooh, child, that is so fucked up of her brother. How could you stand there and be okay with your sister being made a slave? The brother is trying to keep her alive by making her a slave so that she at least has somewhere to stay until the winter time passes and she's able to escape back to the Asuka clan. And it's like, you couldn't just get her a horse? Eileen is a slave. She's manhandled, nearly raped. There is a scene, and like trigger warning, and huge spoiler, so get out if you're still here. There is a scene where she is like wrapped around a tree. Her top is like wrapped around a tree with rope, and her top is like ripped open. And the guy that wanted to rape her couldn't get his way because she's a fighter, because she's strong as shit. He couldn't get his way, so he just left her out there with her boobs out to like die of hypothermia. Girl, what? That scene for me was heartbreaking. I was like, oh my God. I can't imagine like the fear. Rape alone is scary as hell. And then to be tied up to a tree like an animal and left to die with her shirt off. Oh my God, that's embarrassing. That's so embarrassing. So that scene was very strong. Again, Adrienne showed like what an amazing writer she is. That scene was like, I was there. I could see it. Like I could see the snow on the ground. I could feel the cold. I could feel the fear and anxiety and loss of hope, because Eileen starts to like imagine enemy clansmen like coming to kill her, and she could imagine like her family and like dying. In that moment she was like dying. And then let's talk about the bitch that came out of nowhere. I don't even remember her name, but she played like a significant role somehow in the family. I don't remember if it was the brother's girlfriend or like, I don't remember who she was, but this girl came out of nowhere. And she saw Eileen tied up to the tree, freezing, about to die, and she kept moving. I was hurt. Like, I know she kids. But Eileen saw her and, you know, she was in and out of consciousness, and out of nowhere, Fisk comes, he scoops her up and he saves her. And then this is the moment where you kind of realize that Fisk and Eileen have a thing, because he goes and he beats up the guy that like tied her to the tree. And the dynamic, I think, shifts in that moment, not just between Fisk and Eileen, but between Fisk's family and Eileen. I think the mother, Fisk's mother, I don't remember that woman's name either. It doesn't matter. But the mother realizes from the get that there is something different about Eileen because of the way that she's being treated. And in that moment, I think the family really like appreciates Eileen. I don't know, like the fact that she almost died, I think that they're like, holy shit, we almost lost you, girl. My other favorite character was Halvard. He is the little brother. I think he's Fisk's little brother. He is just so cute. He's so sweet and adorable, and I don't know, I could just feel like a really beautiful bond between him and Eileen. And he doesn't judge her because she's Asuka. He doesn't judge her because she's different. I mean, he just really genuinely is kind to her and shows her affection, and she in return does that to him. There is a scene at the end where, close to the end, where the Hersha, I think they come in and they're raiding the Riki after they've raided the Asuka, and one of them almost takes Halvard, and she like is ready to give up her life for him, and it was just so cute. And then Halvard is tied up to the horse. I can't imagine having like a younger sibling go through that, and like I can't do anything about it. One of the characters that I really didn't like, obviously, as you could tell by now, probably, is the brother, who we're calling Eerie. I don't know if that's his name. Initially, the book was about him, but he just wasn't developed as a character. There was no like character arc. There was no change. His reasoning to stay with the Riki was like, it just sucked. He was kind of a shitty brother the entire time. Like, he didn't really do anything. For him to be such an underdeveloped character was, I don't know, like just weird. Fisk did most of what I think the brother should have done. Fisk as a character, I think he was kind of cute. Like, I could see how him and Eileen got together, started developing feelings. I did call it though, like from the moment that he saved her, I was like, they're going to end up together. But overall, I thought he was a really strong character. I loved him as a fighter. Every time he had a moment where he was like kicking ass, I was like, yes! Did enjoy watching him grow, because he went from like really hating Eileen to being completely in love with her and accepting her clan, and even moving. He just moved. He was like, yeah, I'm coming with you. I just met you, but I want to go live with you and your people who I was raised to hate. I really liked that the romance was like slow burning, and for me it was believable. Yeah, I enjoyed it. I thought they were cute. I shipped them. The last character I want to talk about is the dad. So Eileen's father, who has lost his wife, thinks he's lost his son, and then thinks he's lost his only daughter. When you learn that he is alive after the raids, and he is like, yes, Eileen, yes, thank you for being alive. And then he learns that his son is alive. It's so cute. Instead of like being upset at Eileen's brother, instead of being upset at his son, he just embraced him. Like, that moment, it melted my heart. He's also a very fierce fighter, which I loved. There's this huge battle scene at the end, when the Riki and the Asuka like come together and they fight or Hersha. Pretty badass. It reminded me of the Breaking Dawn scene at the end when the Cullens and their people fight the Volturi. I thought it was pretty lit. But there weren't any vampires. There were just a lot of swords and a lot of axes and a lot of shields. Last comment about that. There in that battle scene, what's her name? Eileen gets pretty messed up. Like, she gets stabbed. I don't remember where she gets stabbed, but she gets hit pretty hard. And she's like by the water, by the ocean, on the beach. I don't know, wherever they're fighting. And then it's like, and I'm okay. And we lived happily ever after. I can't really speak on the race representation. But as far as gender goes, gender was like not really a thing. Like, it didn't matter that Eileen was a woman. because she was just as badass as the men. And it wasn't like, oh wow, you're strong for a woman. It's like, you're a pretty strong warrior, period. Just being a badass warrior who happens to be a female was like the point. I really enjoyed it. It has been one of my favorite reads so far this year. I don't know, this one was pretty good. I think this is gonna make it to like my top 10 2018s. I would recommend it to anybody, female, male, young, old, reader, non-reader. It's a short book. It's paced really well. It's written really well. There are action scenes, there's romance. I mean, there's everything in this book. I loved it. Adrienne Young, you did your thing. Like, you really did your thing. I saw an Owlcrate interview, which I'll link in the description box, where they just asked her like where inspiration came from, the research that she did, how long it took her to write it, the publishing, and what all of that is like. So I will link that in the description because I thought it was a pretty interesting interview. And yeah, if this is your first time visiting my channel, feel free to subscribe, hit the little notification bell so you don't miss any of my future uploads. And for those of you that have came back, thank you so much. Thank you everybody for watching. That's pretty much it. I don't really have that much else to say. Bye guys!